Today we're going to talk about Chapter 6, which is Planning and Operations from Desravines et al. Breakthrough Principles. So when we're looking at Chapter 6, we see that the focus is on how effective school leaders create systems and structures that support both teaching and learning. As a future principal, I recognize that school leadership requires balancing instructional leadership with effective planning, operations, and relationship management. One of the quotes that was in the Desravines book that really stood out to me was, even when school leaders devote significant time to becoming instructional leaders, if they don't also take the time to ensure that resources are targeted where they are most needed, teachers have the time and structures they need to improve, and the school is safe, the school is much less likely to see gains in student learning. And so this quote really demonstrates the idea that all aspects of leadership are interconnected. When we talk about planning and operations, there's 4 levers that are identified by Desravines et al. They include goal setting and action planning, which requires creating and tracking goals and adjusting based on progress. Time management, which requires using time wisely to ensure progress towards the goals. Budget, which requires the principal to align monetary and human and physical resources to attain goals. And community and district relationships, which requires the principal to build connections with stakeholders to help attain student goals. For lever 1, we're looking at goal setting and action planning. The key actions under goal setting and action planning include establishing clear, attainable, and measurable goals, making sure those goals are aligned to student achievement outcomes, because overall schools are supposed to be all about student achievement, creating action plans that include timelines, clearly defined relationships and responsibilities, and accountability measures in order to ensure that there is a clear understanding of what the ultimate goal is and where everybody is going, and monitoring the progress and making adjustments as needed based on any challenges or successes. As a future leader, the way that I will do this is by using campus data and equity audits in order to create a school improvement plan that has measurable and attainable goals that are focused on student achievement and building capacity within teachers in order to help students reach the highest levels of achievement. Lever 2 is about time management. Effective time management allows principals to remain focused on improving teaching and learning rather than just becoming consumed with the managerial tasks. Overall, it's important to understand that time is one of the most important resources that a principal has, and that the principal needs to create systems that use time as efficiently as possible. This happens through creating a master schedule that reduces as much downtime and chaos as possible on a campus to make sure that things are running smoothly, having shared calendars for days, weeks, months, so that people understand what's going on and can plan and also understand where time is allocated, making sure that they are engaging in instructional leadership activities by ensuring that they have built protected time into their own schedules, and all of that allocation should be reflective of the school's goals. As a future leader, that means that when planning out my days and my weeks, I need to ensure that there is protected time for classroom observations, teacher coaching and feedback cycles, attending PLCs, going to ARD meetings, and having time to build relationships and engage with students, family, and the community. Lever 3 discusses the budget. Budget and resource management go together because your budget and your resources are not all monetary. You also have to consider human and physical resources. But overall, effective principals align their budget with the instructional priorities. And given the fact that budget and resources are not unlimited, principals need to ensure that the financial, human, and physical resources are used strategically and are all focused towards meeting the school goals. And to help with the budgetary and resource challenges, principals should build relationships and partnerships with the communities and businesses in order to extend resources further or to provide more resources. Um, as a future leader, budgetary resources will be allocated for literacy and inquiry initiatives. I will also make sure that resources are allocated for professional development to grow teacher capacity. I will also build community partnerships to explore ways to add resources or to gain more support. And overall, as a future leader, it is important that all of these resources be allocated equitably to benefit all students and all teachers. The last lever discusses community and district relations. It's fundamental for principals to realize that strong relationships with stakeholders are absolutely essential to having a successful principalship and to making sure that the school operates smoothly. Um, in order to do this, principals should create effective systems of communication with stakeholders, and they should ensure that they are transparent and are building support. Fostering these relationships is not only useful to gain monetary or potential human or physical resources, but also because those relationships are critical for helping students develop academically and personally. As a future leader, it is absolutely fundamental to build those relationships with family, community members, and district personnel by being transparent, welcoming, being an effective communicator, and overall listening to anybody's concerns and opinions in order to build relationships that can be leveraged for student development. So, in applying this to professional application, it is apparent that operational systems are only successful when they're built on strong relationships and a shared vision. So, one of the key things to do is build leadership and foster leadership through relationships. Effective operations rely on trust and communication and the relationships that you have with stakeholders. And in building those positive relationships, you can build a strong foundation for school improvement and overall student success. I have a very keen interest in literacy and inquiry. And so I believe that literacy and inquiry are both fundamental for student growth and success. So, as such, I will leverage resources to support those initiatives and make sure that those initiatives are aligned with the school goals. Because overall, we want operational decisions to support the goals of the school. And lastly, there has to be a commitment to equity. Operational decisions are overall equity decisions because when we look at the distribution of time, resources, and opportunities, that's going to impact all students. And so, using equity audits and data to determine the allocation of resources, time, and um, opportunities is absolutely fundamental in order to ensure that we are providing access to all students. So, in conclusion, effective leaders are not just building and budgetary managers. Their overall responsibility is to strategically align their goals, their time, their resources, and opportunities in order to improve student learning and achievement. Planning and operations are also not separate from instructional leadership. Everything is inherently linked, and those are key aspects of being a strong instructional leader. And as a future leader, I now understand that I must use strategic alignment of time, resources, and relationships in order to drive school improvement and positively impact student learning while also ensuring that there is equitable opportunity on campus.